As many mothers do, my mother sang to me when I was upset. She was the pacifier when the pacifier was dirty. Memories that served me well with my own infants who shook the walls at 3 a.m. when the rubber pacifier was buried under the crib with the bib, but the lull was rehearsed and ad-libbed. Years later, at Sister Pat's funeral, I was too young to understand what was happening until the choir started singing something about eagle's wings, which led me to look at the stained glass ceiling and the light that was shining through beyond it. And then it all made sense. And my young heart, it collapsed and exploded all at once. And to this day, when I hear that song, my heart collapses and explodes all at once. Years later, when I walked down the steps with a diploma in my hand, 160 classmates began clapping a rhythm. And they dared me to do it. My parents were watching. The dean was frowning, but I had to do it. So I brushed my tassel to the side and I shimmied down the cathedral steps because that's what I was known for, the shimmies, right? So we all laughed and we cheered and we got reprimanded the next day. But for that moment, the rhythm was perfect. But for the rhythm, it was worth it. Years later, when I was 25, with a beer in one hand, I walked into a crowd of friends in my living room. Among them was my future wife. While I waited for a chance to interject the laughter and the small talk, I swayed to my playlist. I don't remember what song was playing, but it gave me courage and a little bit of swagger and a command to live happily ever after. Years later, I stood nervously beside her while the doctor probed her belly. Eternity was finally interrupted by the verdict. We have a heartbeat. Do you want to hear it? I heard it. It was perfect. It was fast. In a flash, it took me back to the womb where I once sat alone with my thoughts and my beat. It was tranquil. It was power. It was music. So back to the moment in the doctor's office, all over again, I remember how to listen and be carried by sound and be pacified by sound and explode in sound and find worth in sound and live happily ever after in sound and remember in sound. I want to ask everybody to simply just sit back. Just sit back for a moment. Everybody in the rectangle, just sit back for a moment and listen. And just take in what you're listening to. The sounds, the thoughts. Get lost in the repetition. Get found in it. Sounds that surround your mind, get bound by it. Steady your mind, or better yet, let it run wild. Let it explore. Let it go like an untethered child. Capture that soundtrack. If it's drifting away, get it back. Set it here. Let it stay. Let it sit. Let it stare. Wherever your mind sits or stands, that's where you are. Hear the noise, listen to the sound, that's where you are. Inhale your long-term memories, that's who you are. Exhale ambitions and fantasies, that's what you are and where you're going. Carried by the vibrations and the vibes. Thank you for that moment, for that time.